and welcome back to another edition of 60 Super Bowls in 60 days. Yesterday, I talked about the Minnesota Vikings just putting the absolute belt to ass. Actually, no, it was the Minnesota Vikings getting belt to ass by the Miami Dolphins in a 24-7 absolute domination. Now, they once again go to another Super Bowl, their third overall with this team, and playing in Super Bowl IX, which took place on January 12th, 1975, in Tulane Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was Grant versus Noll. It was Steel Curtain versus Purple Peter Eaters. It was Steelers versus Vikings. One franchise that haven't won a Super Bowl, who after so many years are gone to purgatory. The other, who has been revving it up as one of the best teams in the 70s and the 60s to never achieve anything. And unfortunately for the Vikings, they once again succumbed to a really good defense. This time, the Steel Curtains was just too much. 16-6. That was the final. Steelers are world champions for the very first time, and not the last. Terry Bradshaw, one of the quarterbacks who, of course, revolutionized in Pittsburgh and changed the culture of Pittsburgh forever, was not bad, not great, but decent. 9 of 14 for 96 yards and a touchdown. Frank Tarkenton with 11 of 26 or 102 yards, but 3 INTs. You're not going to win a game against 3 INTs, especially against that defense. The Russian, oh boy, the Russian is a different story, to be honest. Franco Harris, God rest his soul, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Pick up MVP and listen to the stat 34 carries. I mean, you look at Larry. I mean, Jesus, he and Larry Zonka were like absolutely beasts from that one. Look at Larry Zonka MVP, 33 carries, 145 yards, and 2 TDs. All right, Super Bowl IX, your MVP was responsible for 34 of those carries for 158 yards at a 4.65 yards per rush and a touchdown. Chuck Foreman only picked up 12 carries for 18 yards rushing at 1.50. And I decided to put the Russian yards because this was absurd. Pittsburgh have a rushing advantage of 249 to 17. Pittsburgh have nearly 250 yards rushing. Minnesota can't even get to 20. And Franco Harris was responsible for 63% of those yardage. Franco Harrison have double the amount of carries in this game than Minnesota have in yards. Russian! Like, God! He has more yards than Frank Tarkenton has passes. Like, what? That is insane. That is absolutely brutal. It was the old Steelers way of just pounding you, of just physically out dominating you, and it shows. It just absolutely showed in that game. So no problem with Franco Harris being MVP, of course, for Pittsburgh. Larry Brown, three receptions for 49 yards at 60.33 yards per reception with a touchdown. Chuck Foreman was instrumental in the passing game as well. 5 receptions for 50 yards, which, of course, let's be honest, he has less yards than Terry Bradshaw in passing. In fact, he has less yards passing and rushing, actually catching and rushing, than Franco Harris. It just showcased how Franco Harris was amazing back then. Really good. But the defense, oh man, that Pittsburgh Steel Curtain defense was an entirely different story. Let's just read it off the bat. Mike Wagner, interception, 2 tackles. Mel Blount, interception, tackle. Mean Green Joe Green, interception and tackle. Ernie Holmes and Andy Russell with 4 tackles each. Jack Ham, Pittsburgh, for 3 tackles each. I can go on and talk about all the Pittsburgh leaders having dominant performances, but just the absolute domination of that team was on full display. Like Mike Wagner, Mel Blount, and Joe Green, all Hall of Famers. Probably Mel Blount and Joe Green are easily Hall of Famers. But their fingerprints was on that Super Bowl, and it was an absolute domination. It was a belt to ass domination. The same thing with the Dolphins game, of course, yesterday. This was belt to ass. And yes, while the scoreline may be saying 16-6, it was not a great game from the offensive standpoint. It just shows that defense wins you championships. And the defense for Pittsburgh just show us why. Although Minnesota's defense was not bad as well, Alan Page put up another decent, good performance, sack and 9 tackles. Jeff Simmons with 9 tackles. Bob Lutzema with a sack as well. So it's not that Minnesota were not as bad, but when you have like 3 turnovers by your best quarterback, by Frank Tarkenton, it's just like you just cannot win. You just cannot simply win. The kick in, of course, Roy Guerrilla with 2 for 2, but missed a field goal. And then Fred Cox did not even get a PAT nor a field goal. So, yeah, that just not it. So, anyways, the total yards 333 to 119 in favor of Pittsburgh. And turnovers, including with the 3 interceptions, Pittsburgh 2 to Minnesota 5. Now, just like I mentioned about Dallas winning that Super Bowl and giving the Tom Landry the flowers he deserve, Chuck Noll deserves a lot of praise as well. I mean, he is the reason why the Pittsburgh domination in the 70s go on to becoming great. And of course, we're going to get that later on with another Super Bowl coming up. And it's amazing that if you wanted to know what great defense look like, you have to watch Super Bowl 9 and show the people that that defense can still carry you even in today's NFL when the passing isn't ridiculous and all that stuff. It shows that defense can win you championships. I mean, look at the names: Mike Wagner, Mel Blount, Joe Green, Ernie Holmes, Andy Russell, Jack Ham. They were brilliant and contributed to that incredible victory, of course, by Pittsburgh. And it sets the tone for their domination in the 70s and well past that. But as for Minnesota, it's just like they got ran over by the really good Dolphins team twice. Yeah. And they got ran over by a really good defense in the Steel Curtain. So it's kind of like you've been to 3 Super Bowls for Minnesota. You have a great team, but unfortunately, the Purple People Eaters are getting older by age. Frank Tarkenton is just not the same dominant guy. And I believe this could be their last chance. They will get one last chance, though. They will get one last chance. But before that, tomorrow episode will be pitting the 2 best teams from the 70s, and they will duke it out in a really incredible matchup. The first of 2 incredible matches between these 2. In fact, let's just say 3 incredible matches. Remember I told you about that incredible catch? I kind of lied. This Super Bowl was not it. The next one? Oh, the next one. That will be the one. Like, comment, subscribe. See you